We are all the children of time. For centuries, we imagined ourselves as the apex of evolution, one species, rising above all others, chosen by nature or fate. But nature rarely works in straight lines, and history? It's written in layers: bones, ash, dust, shadows. Among those shadows, a figure once misunderstood walks with us still. The Neanderthal. For most of modern science, the Neanderthal was labeled a brute, a dead end, a creature of grunts and clubs. But what if that story was wrong? What if the Neanderthal was not a primitive misstep, but a mirror? A variation of humanity that thrived, struggled, and loved in its own profound way. Let us begin where silence echoes loudest. In the Zagros Mountains of Iraqi Kurdistan lies Shanidar Cave. It was 1951 when Ralph Selecki entered this cave and made a discovery that would challenge the scientific world for decades to come. Human-like bones, buried intentionally, some dusted with pollen. Selecki believed it was evidence of ritual, of Neanderthals burying their dead with flowers. But he was ridiculed. Anthropologists of the time could not fathom such tenderness from a so-called savage. But time, like sediment, reveals the truth layer by layer. In 2016, researchers returned to Shanidar. They found another skeleton, Shanidar Z. It lay gently, with a head propped against a flat rock. The placement was deliberate, as if someone cared how this individual met eternity. That moment forced a question into the world. Who were these people? We turned to their bones for answers. What we found was astonishing. Neanderthals had broader chests, shorter limbs, yes, but they were built for endurance and survival in the harshest climates. And their brains? Not smaller, but larger than ours in some regions. Different shapes, suggesting different abilities. Perhaps different ways of seeing the world, of processing it, of feeling. One skeleton told a story of compassion. A male, old and toothless, who had survived long past his ability to feed himself. He had not died alone. He had been cared for, tended to. That, in any species, is evidence of empathy, of love. In Spain, deep within a cave untouched by sunlight, symbols were painted in red ochre, circles, ladders, abstract forms. The age, over 60,000 years. Before Homo sapiens arrived. The artists? Neanderthals. These weren't random markings. They required planning, light, and intention. This was art, expression, possibly memory, possibly religion. Elsewhere, pierced shells and colored beads were found near Neanderthal dwellings. Were these adornments? Indicators of status? Tokens of belief? Whatever their purpose, they point to a mind capable of abstraction. A mind not so unlike our own. Their tools were marvels of design. The Mousterian technique produced flakes sharper than surgical steel. And these tools weren't made in isolation. Knowledge was shared, passed on, perhaps even taught, parent to child. The Neanderthal hand not only built tools, it taught hands that followed. They hunted, together, bringing down mammoths and woolly rhinos. They knew fire, controlled it. They used birch tar as glue, a complex process requiring knowledge of temperature and time. These were not instincts. They were skills, learned, remembered. Then came the Great Convergence. Around 70,000 years ago, Homo sapiens journeyed out of Africa. In Europe and parts of Asia, they met the Neanderthals. And something incredible happened. They did not fight. They mingled. The evidence is in our very cells. Today, nearly every person of non-African descent carries traces of Neanderthal DNA, between 1% to 4%. It's not just a curiosity. It shapes us, our immune responses, our pain thresholds, even our hair and skin. Through genetic interweaving, Neanderthals became part of us. They are not an extinct cousin. They are ancestors, voices in our blood. So why did the myth of stupidity persist? Perhaps because their bones were first discovered in the 1800s, during an age more concerned with dominance than understanding. The first Neanderthal skeleton had signs of arthritis. Its stooped posture was seen as evidence of brutishness. The truth? He was elderly. He was surviving. Heavy brows and robust jaws were interpreted as signs of inferiority. But in truth, they were adaptations, nature's response to cold and hardship. More recent discoveries even suggest they may have constructed spaces. Stone circles, hearths, post holes. If the Ice Age hadn't swept so much away, perhaps we would speak today of Neanderthal architecture. Their voices, though long gone, may have echoed through valleys in language. The shape of their hyoid bone, the placement of nerves and muscles, suggests they could speak. Perhaps not with the complexity of Shakespeare, but with names, warnings, songs. In labs, researchers have simulated their voices, deep, resonant, rhythmic, the sound of wind through pine, of a drum in a hollow chest. Then they vanished, not all at once, not by a cataclysm, but gradually, merged, absorbed, lost in the wave of Homo sapiens who outnumbered them, spread faster, and perhaps told better stories. We do not know exactly why. Climate played a role, so did disease, but maybe it was community that made the difference. Homo sapiens formed larger networks, shared ideas across distances. But let us not mourn them as failures, because they were not. The Neanderthal story is one of resilience, intelligence, grace, and it reminds us that humanity has never been one thing. It has always been many. We are not alone in our past. We never were. So next time you look in the mirror, remember, part of you once painted on cave walls, hunted mammoths with stone-tipped spears, buried the dead with flowers, and sang to the fire under a sky full of stars. The Neanderthals are gone, but they live within us, in our bones, our blood, our memory, and the story is not over.